Hi Bowl Bakers! This week I'm excited to share with you a really easy recipe to make brioche using my favourite no-knead technique, which means you do not need a machine to make this dough. Not only are we going to make brioche, but I'm going to show you how to make a fantastic dessert pizza. So let's get baking. So what's a no-knead dough? It is the dough that does not require a machine. We are going to use time to develop all of the gluten in the bread, which will eliminate the need for a machine. Once you see this method, you will look at dough making in a whole new light. So we're going to start out our dough in a large bowl. And you want to make sure that it's nice and big because we're also going to proof it, so we want room for the dough to grow in here. In your bowl, add your flour, salt, and yeast. If you've seen me work with yeast before, I always put my salt and my yeast on different sides of the bowl. You never want to put them on top of each other because the salt will actually kill the yeast. Once you mix it all together, the yeast is fine. You just don't want to lay them directly on top of each other. In a separate jug, add in your eggs, honey, milk, and melted butter, and then mix them really well together. When you add in your melted butter, make sure it's not hot. You want it to be the same temperature as the other ingredients. And if you don't have honey, don't worry about it. You can use maple syrup or just regular white sugar. Now add your wet into your dry ingredients and mix it really well together. And yes, it is this easy. No machine, no waiting around. You can see why I absolutely love this method. By mixing this dough well, you're actually waking up the yeast and getting it ready to activate. When there's no more lumps and your dough has formed a ball, it's done. Now just scrape down the sides of the bowl, then lay some cling film over the top of the bowl to make sure that no air gets in. And I like to place an extra tea towel on top as well to keep it nice and warm and happy. And there you have it. That's how easy it is to make my brioche. We're going to set this guy aside at room temperature for 2 hours and let him grow nice and big. Okay, so it's been 2 hours and I want to show you what your dough should look like at this time. If you listen, you can actually hear it bubbling under your finger. Look at that texture. You can already see the gluten developing after just 2 hours. Now, our next important step is to go in with your spatula and knock out all the air of your dough. Now, I know you're probably wondering, why am I doing this when we just created all of this lovely air bubbles? But it actually helps develop the dough and develop the gluten. And when you give it a good stir, you'll feel the dough actually tighten. All of this work will make a really beautiful dough. So what we're going to do now is cover it up nice and tight and put it in the fridge for a minimum of 12 hours. And what that will do will strengthen the gluten even more to make a beautiful brioche loaf. As always, my recipes can be found on biggerbolderbaking.com. And if you liked this video and would like to see lots more like it, then don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So not to sound cliche, but here's one I prepared earlier. I made this dough 2 days ago, and as you can see, it is lovely and bubbly and ready to be used. Do you see all of this? That is beautiful gluten strands that are going to make a lovely dough. We did all of this without using a machine. Now just flour your surface and turn out your dough. Then just get a little bit of flour on your hands. And what we want to do is just knead this dough a little bit. It's a very soft dough, so we just want to knead it a little, get out any bits of air. You want a nice bit of flour because it is a little bit sticky. With this dough, you can make so many things, and I'm actually going to show you over on my website today how you can turn this into a loaf of brioche. But today we are going to make a beautiful dessert pizza. To make our pizzas, we're going to divide our dough in two. Then we're going to flour our surface really well and roll out our pizza. If your dough springs back and is hard to roll, let it rest for 5 minutes and it'll make it easier. When your dough is rolled out, gently move it onto a baking tray lined with parchment paper. So just like a real pizza, I'm going to go around the rim and kind of crimp it and create an edge. The final size of my pizza dough is 9 inches by 9 inches. So here's the part where you can get really creative and put any of your favorite flavors on top of your pizza. So for the sauce of my pizza, I'm going to use Nutella because I love chocolate and hazelnuts. If you use it, warm it up a little bit beforehand because it's much easier to spread. Next, for the topping on my pizza, I'm going to lay around sliced banana. And then for the cheese, I'm going to sprinkle over marshmallows. Sprinkle on as many as you like. This is your pizza. I think marshmallows are a good substitution for cheese. Now our pizza is ready for the oven. We're going to bake it until it's lovely and golden brown. Wow, look at that. I think this must be one of the nicest pizzas I've ever seen. Look at this beautiful brioche crust. You can tell that it was a good dough because it's nice and soft. This pizza looks and smells absolutely gorgeous. But of course, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to add my trusty salted caramel sauce. Drizzle your salted caramel all over the top of the pizza. This flavor and the bananas are going to go so well together. And while your pizza is still hot from the oven, cut yourself a big slice and dig in. I'm really excited to try this. The brioche turned out beautifully and all of the toppings smell fantastic. Add this recipe to your big and bold list because I'm pretty sure you're going to want to try it. There are no rules to say that pizza just has to be savory. I really hope you enjoyed my dessert pizza, and thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I'll see you back here again next Thursday for more bigger, bolder baking.